As you enter a poorly lit room, the smell of decay overwhelms you. That's when you see 5 skeletal creatures, their emaciated frames draped in tattered remnants of funeral garments. You see long, clawed fingers protrude from the bony hands as they rend the flesh from the bone of their latest victim. They look up from their grisly feast, a poor villager they had hunted down this very evening. What do you do? When I sit down to write an adventure, I'm doing so because I feel like the story is just bursting to get out of me. And then comes the hard part, coming up with cool scenes or room descriptions that I can read out loud to my players. You know, in published adventures, these are known as box text, or I've even heard them called read out loud text. Hey everyone, I'm Heavy J. Today, I want to talk about some of the things I've learned over the last 40 years as a GM on how to write your own amazing box text. Box text in a published adventure describes the visual elements of a scene, including the settings, the characters, and their movements. And I've noticed in well-written published adventures that box text is written in the present tense and uses active voice and strong verbs to create really a vivid picture for the players. So to recreate this, as I get into writing individual scenes and rooms in my adventures, I go in from the point of view of the players. And this is because they don't automatically see what's in my brain or even feel the emotions of the story naturally. So as a GM, I have to guide them every step of the way. So if I'm designing a room, I first look at the action that needs to happen along with the emotions that need to be felt. That way, I'm cluing the players into the kinds of feelings and the energy they'll have alongside the visuals that support that. Now, this is where I break a key movie tenet that I'm sure you've all heard of: show, don't tell. Show, don't tell is a fundamental principle in movies and television that suggests that it's more effective to convey the information and emotion through the characters' actions, their expressions, and the film's visuals, rather than through dialogue or narration. I guess that's why they call them movies and not talkies, right? However, in a TTRPG, you don't control the characters like the screenwriter does. The players do, and that's really what player agency is all about. So to get around that, you need to write about their emotions when you're developing a room or a scene that you plan to have the players interact with. For example, if it's a scary room, I will describe the players as feeling a sense of dread when they enter the dark room. And then I'll give them an action like quivering or maybe trembling as they move forward deeper into the dark. Optionally, you can also describe some of the other senses the characters may pick up on, like how the room smells. Is there the smell of decay? What about the temperature of the room? Is the room hot or is it cold? And I also think it's important to describe if there's a light source or not. I think that these sort of clarifications not only help the players with what's going on or what's about to happen, but it also helps me personally as a GM stay on track when I'm writing the box text for the room or the scene. So here are my tips for writing better box text. When it comes to writing box text, I find less is more. I really just want to put the players in the right headspace and get them feeling the right emotions. So I avoid excessive descriptions or unnecessary detail. I mean, truthfully, nobody wants to hear anyone read paragraph after paragraph of information at the table. As I've mentioned in other videos, info dumps are really boring, so you don't want to go down that path. So focus on the visual. Describe what the players see when they enter the room. I did this at the beginning of the video when I said, as you enter the poorly lit room, you see 5 skeletal creatures, their emaciated frames draped in tattered remnants of funeral garments. So with this sort of description, you can see there is no doubt that the players are up against the undead and that they're probably in for a bit of a fight. Remember, you're telling a story as a GM, so bring them into the world and tell them what's going on around them. And then let the other elements of the box text take over. In my example, I also said they looked up from their grisly feast, a poor villager they had hunted down and killed this very evening. This really lets the players know that the villagers are in danger too, and that they're being killed by these guys, and that they're heroes, and that they need to do something about that. It really serves as a call to action. Kill or be killed. So you're going to want to use strong verbs. I would choose verbs that are active and evocative. Avoid passive voice or weak verbs. So instead of saying they bite or chew on the villager, I would describe the action in a very visual way by saying you see long clawed fingers protruding from bony hands as they just rend the flesh from the bone of their latest victim. I mean, with that kind of description, you can really visualize how these guys are just tearing the muscle away from the bone in this scene. You also want to be specific. Use concrete nouns and adjectives to create a clear picture in the players' minds. For example, I didn't describe these guys as just eating the villager, but them having a grisly feast. I mean, I think this really describes them as gathering around the dead villager in an almost party-like atmosphere where they're just gorging themselves on his flesh. And finally, and this is a good one too, you should always read your box text out loud before you go to the table with it. Read your box text aloud to ensure that it flows smoothly and sounds naturally after you've written it. I can't tell you guys how many times my box text sounded clunky after reading it aloud. You may think it sounds good on paper, but it sounds terrible when you read it aloud. That's why I'm not shy about rewriting something if it doesn't flow just perfectly. You know, I strongly feel that if you follow these tips, you can write box text that is clear, concise, and engaging. After all, the goal of box text is to create a visual blueprint for you and the players. But hey, that's just what I think. How do you guys do things? Is there anything that I missed or could improve upon? What methods do you use when you're creating scenes? I'd like to hear from you guys about that. If you enjoyed this video, and you can support the channel by becoming a Dragon Rider, then please visit our Patreon page. The link is down in the doobly-doo for you guys. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you never miss our next episode. Until then, ride that fat dragon. And thanks for watching. See you next time on Fat Dragon Adventure.
Come up here. Quit walking in front of the dog. You're doing it on purpose. Okay, I can't help you, Daisy. You won't behave.
Just trying to work over here.
Right?
Just trying to work. As you enter a poorly lit room, Tired?
Yeah, apparently. I'm just not drinking my coffee fast enough.
Big Mama's helping me with the script, and she hasn't had enough coffee.
So I've done an espresso.
Starbucks!